to get ready. It's time to get ready. It's time to get ready. Whoa. Wake up. It's time to get ready. Go out. It's time to get ready. Make love. It's time to get ready. Time to get ready. Time to get ready. Whoa. Wake up. It's time to get ready. Go out. It's time to get ready. Make love. It's time to get ready. Time to get ready. Time to get ready. Whoa. Wake up in the morning. About to roll a paper plane while we yawning.
Yo, what is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Off the Bench podcast. It's your boy, Jorge. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I know it's been very, very long time since we've last heard from each other. Hope y'all are subscribed to our YouTube channel, Off the Bench, and our Instagram. I know we've been talking about remodeling and all that stuff, but quite frankly, life hits you hard. And stuff's been coming up between me and Roland. Blog is still in the works. We're still trying to figure stuff out. And Roland's been busy. I've been busy. But we're here now. We're here today. We're here today after a very, very long time of recording. Those of you listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, however you listen to your podcasts, thank you so much for listening in. Roland is very appreciative as well. But let's get back. Let's get into it real quick because so much has happened. But I want to start real quick with the man of the hour, who I thought was going to be the man of New York City, and that's my boy Aaron Judge. Now, Aaron Judge, the outfielder for the New York Yankees, he got called up around the same time of like Jeter's retirement, like right afterwards. So he really picked up that face of the Yankees mantle right when Jeter was gone after all that stuff. I mean, I know Didi Gregorius took his spot in shortstop, but it was really Aaron Judge that took the reins of the face of the New York Yankees franchise, the New York Yankees team. He became one of the best outfielders in the game today, up there with Harper, Trout, and he still is today. They created a whole section for the man in Yankee Stadium, the all-rise section. Everyone goes in dressed up as judges. It's great. It's fantastic, wonderful stuff. But now, of course, as most youngsters in the MLB, well, in his case, he's they're up for contracts, and of course he was up for arbitration, and he's due $17 million for arbitration. So he's making a mighty good living for himself right now. And the man's only 29. He's about to turn 30 on April 26th. So he's right up there in age. And the Yankees, of course, offered him a very nice contract extension. A contract extension that some believe was fair. And obviously the Yankees know that they can't. There's no replacing Aaron Judge. There's absolutely no replacing Aaron Judge. You can't replace a guy of that magnitude. He hits absolute dingers outside the park. His on-base percentage is incredible, and it's just why hasn't this contract extension happened? Well, Brian Cashman and the New York Yankees stated and came out with a report before their deadline of opening day that they wanted to re-sign Aaron Judge. They offered him a 7-year, $213.5 million extension that would start at the beginning of next year. So he would have his $17 million offered in arbitration this year, and then the entire package altogether would be just over $230 million. Aaron Judge said no. Now, I'm Aaron Judge. I just got offered basically $230 million for 7 years. Why am I saying no? One, I've been injury prone, right? And everyone knows this. Aaron Judge, great talent, great physique, everything you want. He's basically the modern day Derek Jeter for the Yankees. There's no legal trouble with him. Great character, great personality. Why are you turning down 7 years, $230 million essentially? On top of that, your injury history, you don't really, whatever you want to say, but the injury history is the most important thing. And then you're going to go out and say you're going to talk to all 30 teams? My boy, my boy, you're making a mistake. You're making a mistake. Now, I mentioned at the top of the podcast, he's right up there with Bryce Harper and Mike Trout, but he's not Mike Trout or Bryce Harper. Now, let's get something straight here. I love Aaron Judge. I'm a Yankee fan. I love Aaron Judge. But the fact that he has not shown he can stay healthy on a consistent basis, and that when big moments shine, he has let us down on occasion. So he is a captain. He's great and all, but like Aaron Judge, like this is the best deal you're gonna get. This is a fair deal. You still get your $17 million for arbitration, and you get $213 million. You're essentially making the same level of money as those other boys. Like I don't understand what the deal is. I don't understand why you want to test free agency when the Yankees are giving you everything you ever wanted, are giving you a very good salary based on your production, and it's just what goes through your mind if you're Aaron Judge that you are not taking this deal. Sure, okay. Conspiracy theorists out there will say, well, he grew up a Red Sox fan. And look at the Red Sox. They're giving everyone way above market price. Of course the Red Sox are going to do that. Of course they are. I mean, they just traded for Trevor Story. Now, there may be, you could say that maybe Aaron Judge isn't pleased with the surroundings of his squad, that maybe Garrett Cole being the only liable pitcher on the Yankees team is going to hinder his possible success of getting a World Series ring. It could be that the surrounding people around him are aging veterans that really aren't doing much. The defense isn't there. I mean, outside of Giancarlo, who sometimes plays outfield, sometimes plays DH, there isn't much, as to say. And the Yankees haven't been as successful as they historically have been. And if I'm Aaron Judge, it's almost like what I could see in that sense. If it's about winning, you need to say to yourself, well, I need to check out other teams out there. I mean, the Dodgers are out here making moves and pretty much playing MLB The Show, but in real life. They're doing a diamond dynasty of their own. And the Red Sox doing the same thing. It's just what do you want if you're Aaron Judge? If you're Aaron Judge, what do you do? What do you want? Do you want to win, or do you want to stay loyal to the Yankees? Because if you're trying to stay loyal in the Yankees, then bro, take the deal. Take the deal. It's the best deal you're gonna get. But if you're trying to win, then it's okay. Well, where are you gonna go? Sure, the Red Sox loaded up and are about to just go ham and do whatever it takes to win another World Series, because they've won 2 already when the Yankees only have won 1 in the past decade almost. Not even. I think the only I'm going off on a tangent, but essentially the Red Sox have shown more success in the past 10 years than the Yankees have. That's a straight fact. I'm a Yankee fan. I can't deny that. You listeners, you can't deny that. The Yankees have not been the Yankees the past 10 years. They went through a whole decade where they would always make the ALDS, the ALCS, but they always come up short, whether that's pitching, or that's defense, whatever it is. And of course, this is supposed to be a brand new year with brand new players. Gary Sanchez is out the building. So essentially, this year, there's no excuses. They've traded for Donaldson. They got a nice short, I believe, shortstop infielder in what is his name? What is his name? Yankees. It's I know. Danny from Danny's Dugout always calls him Falafel, but it's what's his name? Kinner. I have no idea. I need to Google him real quick. But here we go. It's his name, Kiner Falefa. So I can see why she calls him Falafel. But the fact that they were able to get him on the same time in the Josh Donaldson trade, Isaiah Kinder-Falefa. But when you had Trevor Story and Carlos Correa, and then you come out, Brian Cashman, and you say that, hey, we were never... Oh, whoops. Sorry, I recorded for YouTube too, and I accidentally went to the next screen. But if you're Brian Cashman, and you're and you're out here saying that, hey, we never were into talk, we never wanted to discuss bringing in Carlos Correa, and we were in Trevor Story, but the asking price was too much. You can't do that. You're the New York bleeping Yankees. You cannot do that. You cannot allow for some other team like the Red Sox. Like, I don't even know where Carlos Correa is at anymore. Where's Carlos Correa? I believe he signed with the Twins. Oh no, he's with the Twins. So you can't allow Carlos Correa to go to the Twins. You can't allow Trevor Story to go to the Red Sox. And you're saying, you know what, we're comfortable with Calefa because we got Donaldson. And sure, and so far in the first series to the Red Sox, you're switching up your DH. You have the utility man DJ LeMahieu out here, just moving from different infield spots to DH. Donaldson, I know right now when they're playing the Blue Jays at the time of this recording, that that Donaldson is out of the lineup, so LeMahieu's in. It's a lot of moving parts going around now, and at the end of the day, if you're Aaron Judge and you look at this roster and you're like, can I win a World Series with this roster? Because money isn't an issue if you're at baseball. If you're in baseball, money is never an issue. There is not a single price tag that you can put for Aaron Judge that is not reasonable. Honestly, there's no cap space unless you're very willingly to play Moneyball. There is no reason for you to not sign them if you are a team like the New York Yankees. Now, if you're a team like the Oakland Athletics or any other small market team for that matter, like the Pittsburgh Pirates, you obviously are cap strained. You obviously don't have the money, so you have to use analytics, because if you don't use analytics, you will be at the bottom of the barrel each and every year. Of course, you see it now with the Oakland Athletics. They had to trade away some of their best players in the offseason during spring training just to stay afloat. And of course, it's going to be with a team like the Oakland Athletics, it's going to be a vicious cycle of we draft well, we bring up these guys, and they're going to do great, they're going to do awesome until it's time for them to re-up and look for a contract extension, and then boom, we can't afford them. They move on elsewhere to a team that can afford them, and then we start the cycle all over again with a different prospect. So if you're the Oakland Athletics, sure, you can be a little stingy with your contract extension talks. You can say we can't afford the type of money you want. If you want $8.5 million, we only can offer you $7.5 million. Then sure, go take the $8.5 million. But if you're the New York bloody Yankees, if you are the New York fucking Yankees, there is no reason Aaron Judge should be saying no to a contract extension. No reason. And if you're Aaron Judge, boy, you better hope you get $300 million. You better pray to God that there's a contract offer from the Rockies, from the Dodgers, from the Padres, from whoever. Because that offer the Yankees gave you is the best offer you're going to get. And unless your agent is lying to you and telling you that there is a $300 million contract out there, then fire that man, whoever that man is. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, bro. This is essentially it's a double-edged sword. Because you're Yankees, yeah, that's a fair offer. It's a fair offer because Aaron Judge has been injured. Aaron Judge, he's been great for you. He's the face of the franchise. But your best ability is your availability, and you have not been available on a consistent basis year in, year out. And for a big chunk of that, for a big chunk of those years, your absence was the breaking point between the Yankees winning the AL East and making the wild card. That's how big of an impact Aaron Judge has. And he knows this. Of course he knows this. He's Aaron freaking Judge. He knows this. He's all rise. He knows this. But to say no to $230 million, that's just insanity, dude. That's just, why would you say no? Why would you say no? Knowing you're bound to get hurt. Knowing you're bound to get hurt. Now let me read you some numbers. I'm just gonna read you some numbers. Okay. So Bryce Harper, when he signed with the Phillies, $330 million. Okay, all right. Not the money Aaron Judge got from the Yankees, but Bryce Harper is available more than Aaron Judge is. Wink, wink. Let's look at my Trout. Let's look at my Trout contract. Let's look at his contract. $426.5 million. This was signed in March 2019. So it was a 12-year, $426.5 million. That's not where Aaron Judge is at. And the problem and the difference is, again, Mike Trout is available more than Aaron Judge. So let's say, okay, those are the best guys. Let's say the top contracts in MLB. All right. Let's not even talk about outfielders anymore. Let's just talk specifically the best, the top of the top, cream of the crop, active players, right? Of all positions. You got Mike Trout, just mentioned, $426.5 million. Mookie Betts, Dodgers. Mookie Betts, who does everything. He does everything for the Dodgers. He is by far one of the best outfielders in the game next to Mike Trout. He makes $365. Francisco Lindor of the New York Mets. The Mets gave him $341 million. And Francisco Lindor is also injury prone. 10 years. Okay. Fernando Tatis, $340. Bryce Harper went to. Now this is where you may, if you're Aaron Judge, you may see, okay, you're not going to disrespect me. Giancarlo Stanton is making $325. Differences with Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton is that we know everything we need to know about Giancarlo. You're not going to ask him to steal bases. You're not going to ask him to. You're basically asking him to play DH, or play outfield, whichever one. But you know exactly what you're going to get. You're not going to ask him to do everything Aaron Judge does. Now, if the issue with Aaron Judge is that he's not making as much money as Giancarlo, well, the problem is Giancarlo, he doesn't do as much, but he's available. Whereas in Miami, he hasn't been available that much. Of course, Garrett Cole, $324 million. So that $230 million, based on your injury history alone, is fair enough. Sure, it's not enough compared to Giancarlo, but at least Giancarlo is available every time. Sure. Yeah. Garrett Cole, $324. You're not Garrett Cole, buddy. Unless you start pitching and start throwing 100 miles per hour consistently. And looking at these contracts, you're looking around the Strasburg, Anthony Rendon, Miguel Cabrera, Nolan Arenado, and then Manny Machado rounds it out at $300 million. So you would be, if you're Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge has to prove this, because this is only 7 years, $230. Now, if Aaron Judge wants a 10-year contract, then okay, good for you. You get a 10-year contract, but a 10-year contract for an injury-prone outfielder is not where the Yankees want to do business, because we just went through a period of time where you were the franchise player and we didn't win. Whatever reason the Yankees have, and the Yankees have gone through a lot of stuff, a lot of mistakes, whether it's analytics, whether it's not building the roster the right way, whether it's their choice in managers after Joe Girardi and scapegoating Joe Girardi, even though Gary Sanchez was a big issue, then that's fine. But you have not shown that you are healthy enough to warrant a $300+ million contract. Now, you can talk to all 30 teams, But the Dodgers, they ain't paying you Mookie Betts money. The Padres ain't paying you like Fernando Tatis. The Phillies ain't going to pay you like Bryce Harper. The Texas Rangers ain't going to pay you like Corey Seager. The Cardinals ain't going to pay you like Nolan Arenado. Nationals aren't going to pay you more than Steven Strasburg. Detroit Tigers aren't going to pay you more than Miguel Cabrera. Angels ain't going to pay you more than Mike Trout. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. You would still be a top 15, top 10 highest contract in the MLB. You would still be that. You'll still be one of the top. But good luck going to the other teams in the MLB and trying to get a $300+ million contract for 10+ years with your injury history, buddy. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. But enough about the Yankees. Enough about the Yankees. I could go on and on about the Yankees. This is make or break year for them. Make or break year for Aaron Boone. It's just look, the Yankees already with their roster right now, they already took 2 out of 3 in the opening series against the Red Sox. Everyone's healthy. They took 2 of 3. The Yankees are in good position this year. They've got the right attitude. They've got the right teammates in the dugout. It's looking really nice for them. They just need to stick it together. I still think they're another pitcher away. Because Montgomery ain't it. Severino's still coming back, and he's on an innings count. Really, they need another pitcher. And they need to trade for someone stat. Because Garrett Cole cannot do it by himself. But moving on to the world of wrestling. Cody Rhodes has debuted for World Wrestling Entertainment. Cody Rhodes has returned, but not as dashing Cody Rhodes. Not as Stardust, but as the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Now, I have a lot of friends who watch AEW or All Elite Wrestling. I have a lot of friends that watch WWE. And the excitement, the ecstatic energy coming from WWE fans saying, "Ha! Cody Rhodes left AEW. He came back home. He's in WWE. We're gonna treat him right." And then AEW side is, "Oh well, now he's gonna go back to being Stardust after a couple months because Vince McMahon hates people who are successful outside of WWE." Now, I see both sides. I'm happy for Cody. I was a big fan. He was one of the big reasons why I started watching All Elite Wrestling. However, the build to his debut, or his re-debut, I guess, to his return, was very lackluster. In fact, the entire build to WrestleMania, to both nights, was extremely lackluster. To the point that when the night 1 came around, I had forgotten WrestleMania was happening. I had forgotten the event was actually taking place. Is that Cody's fault? No, that's WWE's fault. Vince McMahon goes on Pat McAfee's show and say, "Oh well, you know, we're sports entertainers. You know, WWE superstar sounds better than WWE wrestler. Blah blah blah. We're in the sports entertainment business," which, for those of you that are new to wrestling, that is not an actual term. You go to any Joe Schmuck on the street and you say, "What's sports entertainment?" They will look at you like you're on drugs, like you're on cocaine, crack, whatever. What the hell is sports entertainment? Some made-up word that Vince McMahon made up. It's not in the dictionary, that he uses to sell his product to TV networks. Now, the actual match with Seth Rollins, great. But there's then the Monday, it was the Raw after WrestleMania, and Cody cut a promo, and I was like, wow, this is nothing like All Elite Wrestling Cody. Now, the difference is that WWE scripted, AEW is not. So when Cody goes out and cut a promo, he's given a script, he says, these are your talking points, say these lines, and boom, make it work. Cody is a fantastic actor. If he could go on any daytime TV show, if he could go on a primetime show, he could take over Grey's Anatomy and make it Cody's Anatomy, whatever. He will rock whatever you give him. But that promo felt so robotic. It felt so orchestrated. It didn't feel genuine enough. And I felt, after watching the match, after watching the build, watching the match with Seth Rollins, listening to his promo, and then finding out on Twitter in his first match on Monday Night Raw since his return is against The Miz on April 11th. I thought to myself, this is the guy that built a company, shown off how he can be a main event star, and I can see this possibility happen. I don't think anything else is going to happen. I think what's going to happen is that Cody is going to have a couple matches. He might have a program going into WrestleMania Backlash. Could be against Seth Rollins again. Could be against The Miz. Whomever. It'll be a great match because Cody's great in the ring. And then they're going to try to build a match between him and Roman. They're going to give him one. They're going to give him... It's either going to be whatever pay-per-view after WrestleMania Backlash. But whenever he faces Roman Reigns, I believe he's going to beat Roman Reigns. And Cody will be the champion. And then it's going to go downhill from there. Because you only get one. Look at all the fan favorites that WWE have given. Going into WrestleMania, actually, every storyline was poorly built except for Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And you can make the argument that they even they even lost their footing for the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar build going to WrestleMania. And of course, right now they had SmackDown after WrestleMania, and Shinsuke Nakamura is supposed to challenge Roman Reigns, blah blah blah. But no one's really been a legit threat to challenge Roman. So I think they're going to give Cody the titles, and then it's going to be poor booking. Where, great, look at you, Cody. You became WWE champion, you became Universal champion. You're the unified champion. Undisputed champion. But then, like Drew McIntyre, like Kofi Kingston, like Big E, the booking's going to get poor. And Cody mentioned he's got, I think, a 5-year contract, and it's a very complicated contract, even though it doesn't involve any executive positions, etc., etc. My belief is that there's a clause. This is just my opinion. There's no sources, no Dave Meltzer, there's no F4W, nothing. No Sean Ross Sapp. This is my belief. Just from looking at how things are playing out at WrestleMania, at Raw, and how tonight's Raw is being affected. I believe that Cody's complicated contract involves him, if he's not pleased with the booking of how he is as a champion, which I think is bound to happen sooner rather than later, because WWE don't know how to build anyone else, that Cody has an opt-out at any point in time. And, you know, I can see why. Because it's not like he's unaware of the booking of WWE. He's not like he's unaware of the 3-week pushes he's had in WWE. But it's going to happen. He's seen it with Drew McIntyre, he's seen it with Big E, Kofi Kingston. Unless your name's Brock Lesnar, you're not going to be built strong as a champion. Bobby Lashley, another one. So, I think Cody is going to win the championship, and then the minute his booking starts going off, they're going to take it off him. And then someone's going to convince him to stay. someone's going to convince him to stay in WWE after he loses the titles with poor booking. And after that feud, the rivalry he has after he loses the titles, and this is all within the year I'm talking about, within the next year, he may start considering leaving WWE again. Because this isn't something that... Because the issue with Cody Rhodes isn't that he didn't like AEW or anything like that. I think the issue was he hamstrung himself, where he himself was booking his matches until Tony Khan became more of a figurehead on AEW television. He booked himself to not be the top champion in his own company, which is very commendable. He made the TNT Championship seem on the same level as the AEW World Championship. Commendable. But at the end of the day, the rivalries he had were not great. The Anthony Ogogo match is infamously known as a blunder that Cody ended up having, where it was Canada versus USA in the middle of a very, very toxic environment that the country was going through. He didn't have the greatest of feuds. I mean, him versus QT Marshall and I don't even remember their stable. But essentially, he tried to build guys up, and he did to a point, but he was never the guy. And then, of course, AEW grew in popularity. They signed Adam Cole. They signed Bryan Danielson. They signed these big names that were bigger than Cody. So, of course, he can't stay in the mid-card, but he already storyline said he can't challenge for the title. And, of course, he's trying to build these younger guys up, and no one really cares. And when he does build guys up, he has to make sure he's on top at the end. Remember the Malachi Black feud when he debuted. Malachi Black blew him out the water. And then in his first match, Malachi Black goes on a huge run. Cody goes to record a TV show, comes back, beats Malachi Black in Orlando. All right, now they're 1-1. Even though Malachi Black right now is is building a stable, he's probably going for the tag team championships, and Cody, what was that win for Cody really necessary? Go back even further, when Brody Lee, rest his soul, debuted, beat the living crap out of Cody, won the TNT Championship, great run with the TNT Championship and building Dark Order back up. Then Cody beat him again. Of course, then he dropped to Darby and all that stuff. But it's just like you can't. With Cody's run in AEW, it was always, I'm gonna put you over, and then right when you're on top, I'm gonna bring you back down again. Now I'll build you up again, and I'll bring you back down. So I hope Cody's run in WWE goes well. But as a WWE fan, I'm already disappointed in the product. WrestleMania was great. I wouldn't call it stupendous. I would call it more. It was a lot of fun matches. Some stuff was predictable. Vince McMahon took a horrible Stone Cold Stunner, but that's it. I'm not gonna remember it for anything significant outside of Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. And it was good. It was great. Not stupendous. Not anything that they were hyping it up about. They obviously did that thing where they announced the record number of fans, even though 5 minutes prior to that announcement, they announced a different number of fans that were in attendance. They're obviously changing the numbers to make themselves look better. It is what it is. But I hope Cody's run in WWE goes well. I hope that he becomes a champion, is actually treated like a proper champion. But at the end of the day, it's WWE. 1 week, they tell you, yeah, we're on top of you, we're with you. The next, they're against you. And finally, on today's podcast, I'm going to talk about my New York Knickerbockers. Oh boy, what a season we've had, y'all. What a season. I've had friends that come up to me and say, hey, why don't we trade Julius Randle? We can't have him there. So, the New York Knickerbockers last year were the number 4 seed. And they lost in 5 games to the Atlanta Hawks in the first round. The Knicks were 41-31. That's how they finished the season. 41-31. It was a 72-game season cut short because of COVID. This season, the New York Knicks, 37-45. So essentially, when you really think about it, you add in those 10 games, the Knicks were just a 500 team. The Knicks were 4 games below 500. The New York Knicks this year with this roster were only about 6 games back from the 10th seed in the play-in. They were in it until the last week or two in April. Until the end of March into early April. They were in it until the last handful of games. They were in it. You can't tell me otherwise. You can't tell me that the Knicks were not fighting for a playoff seeding. As outlandish and as unlikely as it would have been for the Knicks to make the 10 seed, they were in it. They were not eliminated until there was a handful of games left. Is that not what we wanted from the New York Knicks fans? New York Knicks fans? Is that not what we wanted from the New York Knicks? Last year, yeah, sure, 41-31 would have gotten you the 4 seed. Would have in the 72-game season. But how many games are in an NBA season regularly? No COVID? 82? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that not something that Knicks fans forgot last year? That we were missing a whole chunk of 10 games? Are the New York Knicks slightly better than the Washington Wizards? Sure. The Washington Wizards also traded for Kristaps Porzingis in an attempt to keep Bradley Beal. But they're sure as hell better than the Orlando Magic. Sure as hell better than the Detroit Pistons. And they're sure as hell better than the Indiana Pacers. This is what Knicks fans need to understand. Last year, we went way beyond our expectations. What we were supposed to be last year is what we are this year. Keep that in mind. What the New York Knicks were supposed to be in the first year of Tom Thibodeau was supposed to be what's happened this year. Don't have a point guard. Got a rising star in RJ Barrett. Got a couple of solid players. But at the end of the day, they're expendable. Now, to the Julius Randle point. Julius Randle paid his heart out. He won Most Improved Player. He made an All-Star last year. And the New York Knicks gave him a 4-year, I believe, a 4-year, $110 million contract. Let me double check that. Let me double check Julius Randle's contract. But the Knicks extended Julius Randle because of his play. So they gave him a 3-year, a 4-year, $117 million, so he can stay with the New York Knicks. Now, the mistake a lot of Knicks fans make is that they all thought, now that we signed Julius Randle to a 4-year, $117 million deal, which is chump change. I'll say that again. Julius Randle's 4-year, $117 million contract is chump change in the NBA. That Julius Randle is going to be the number 1 guy in New York. No. Who's the number 1 guy in New York? It's RJ Barrett. Who was a top overall selection for the New York Knicks? RJ Barrett. Julius Randle was brought in to be a complementary piece to RJ Barrett. Last year, the New York Knicks had a bunch of 3-and-D guys, or mostly D guys, that only played defense, didn't score that much. Who did they say in the playoffs had to step up? Was it Julius Randle? No, it was RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, a big reason why the Knicks lost in 5 games to the Atlanta Hawks was because RJ Barrett was shut down by Trae Young and Kevin Huerter. Now this year, and also the shooting, the lack of shooting. This year, the Knicks went into this season saying, well, we need a solid guard and we need shooting. Evan Fournier went off on the Olympics. And they said, well, he's got a good three. He can play some defense. Sign him to a contract. Well, Kemba Walker, he's from the Bronx. We can sign him. He's a point guard. Signs him. And then everyone says, okay, the Knicks can definitely make the 4 seed again or make the playoffs. Because the Knicks actually listened to the fans. They listened to the media and said, well, we clearly need 3-point shooting. And our top 5 defensive rating has to take a step back for 3-pointers. So we need to shoot threes, because the NBA right now is a 3-point league. Now I know there's an Knicks fan saying, well, DeMar DeRozan was available. Why didn't we trade for him? Do you know what was given for DeMar DeRozan? Because it was a sign trade, y'all. It was a sign and trade. When the Bulls got DeMar DeRozan from the Spurs, it was a sign and trade agreement. Chicago traded Thaddeus Young, Al-Farouq Aminu, a protected first-round pick, and 2 second-round draft picks to San Antonio. Now, I don't know about you, but the New York Knicks are looking to swap contracts, not swap draft picks. This is the New York Knicks, not the New York Jets, whereas the Jets are trying to trade one of their first-round picks. The Knicks covet their second-round picks. Heck, that's where they got Mitchell Robinson. That's where they got Emmanuel Quickley. Well, not Emmanuel Quickley. But they covet their draft picks. And unless it's going to be a bona fide superstar, Zach LaVine, Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, those type of cats, I'm not giving away first-round picks. And kudos to DeMar DeRozan for turning his career around. Because he was middling around mediocre. He was drafted in 2009. 13 years in the league. You could have said, yeah, I'll trade you some guys for DeMar DeRozan. Could have, but would that have made a difference? Honestly. Because the difference is Chicago already established Zach LaVine as their bona fide star. They had made trades prior. They had tried to compete the year before. They were just hurt and got hit with COVID. Because best believe, had there not been COVID, Chicago would have been in the playoffs last year. The Bulls had already built a playoff team. Last year's, the Knicks caught the league by surprise. This year, we came back to earth. Now, right now, you look over at Portland, you say, hey, Damian Lillard, he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. They pretty much traded everyone. They shut everyone down. They're trying to get a top draft pick. Okay. Well, the price be for Damian Lillard? I'm on the proponent that the New York Knicks should stay patient. However, if I'm the Knicks and I'm like, all right, what's our biggest need? It's a point guard, right? Because you have Evan Fournier, who, given the right guard, given the right pieces around him, he can go off for 20, 25. He's gone off for 30 plus. I would try, if I'm the Knicks, why not go after John Wall? This is something me and Roland have discussed before. John Wall is healthy. He hasn't played a game for the Rockets. He's good to go. And if I'm John Wall, I just want to play. I don't want to play for a rebuilding team. I want to make the playoffs. Sure, they can try. He can try to go to the Lakers. But at the end of the day, the Lakers are in shambles. They're a team that's deteriorating. And if I'm a superstar, if I'm an NBA athlete, top tier star in the NBA, I want nothing to do with the Lakers. I want nothing to do with LeBron James. Do not call me Rob Pelinka. Do not. But hey, nice little trade. Kemba Walker. And Kemba Walker, I've been telling people from the jump, he was a goodwill signing. As in, Kemba Walker's a hometown kid. He's from the area. He's it's basically a coming home situation. He'll be the starting point guard, but at the end of the day, don't rely on him. If I'm the Knicks as well, I'm trading away Alec Burks. I'm telling Tom Thibodeau, if we get John Wall, Emmanuel Quickley is taking all of Alec Burks' minutes. If John Wall gets hurt or he has to rest, Emmanuel Quickley is the point guard. Emmanuel Quickley is that borderline 6-man / starter. And everyone's hyping him up because of the last few games of the season, where especially this last game of the season, when they played Toronto's bench. Obi Toppin went for 42. Emmanuel Quickley had a triple-double with 34 points. Those are great, but that's against Bush League opponents. It's against G League. If I'm the New York Knicks, I say go after John Wall. We have a bona fide, basically starter in Emmanuel Quickley. And give Obi Toppin extended minutes. And also, start dangling Julius Randle around. Don't trade him for scraps. Because I know the New York Knicks fans are out here saying, well, we need to trade him. We need to trade him for whatever. Trade him overseas to China. Trade him overseas to something. Send him to the G League. No. If a Damian Lillard pops up, if I'm trying to think of other guards and players that will pop up. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But essentially, if you're the Knicks, you want to try to find a bona fide star that you can make a trade with. Because looking at the trade rumors, you're going to want to use Randall to bring in one of those guys. 100%. 100% you want to try to bring in one of those guys. So, heck, you know what? I'll say it. Depending on how this season goes. Depending on whether James Harden wins or loses with the Sixers. Go after Harden. Bring in John Wall. Obi Toppin has already shown you he can ball when he's given the minutes. But let the season play out. If James Harden starts to grow. And now, of course, James Harden, he's already shown that he's not all in, depending on what happens with the situation. Another player to look at outside of Damian Lillard. Knicks have been linked to Miles Turner. Definitely don't go after Russell Westbrook for sure. Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, I know Dwayne Wade is a part owner of the Utah Jazz now. But Donovan Mitchell has been linked to the Knicks several times. And, of course, the Jazz would love to keep Donovan Mitchell, but you have to choose between him and Gobert. And Mitchell isn't too happy with what's going on in Utah. And Utah can't afford to keep him around. Lineup: Donovan Mitchell, RJ Barrett, Fournier, Toppin, and possibly Mitchell Robinson. That could be decent. That could make the playoffs. And the point is, if you're going to make a trade, if you're the New York Knicks, you're going to make a trade. You're building around RJ Barrett, who's shown you he can go above 20. He can go 25, 30 points a game. He's already averaged 20 points a game this year. if you're the New York Knicks, RJ Barrett's your guy. He's your main guy. He's untouchable. The only untouchable. Right now, the way the team is constructed, if they run it back, they're going to be right back where they are, competing for the play-in. But if you're going to make a move, that has to be so you can make the playoffs. Be a 6 seed, a 5 seed, go back to the 4 seed, a 3 seed even. And you have to take advantage that things could possibly be going south in Brooklyn. That Kyrie Irving has verbally once again said he's going to re-sign with the team before his offseason comes. We know what happened in Boston. He said, I'd love to be back if you'll have me. And then what happened? He left. So, something to think about, Knicks fans. This season went exactly as you thought, as everyone should. Let me rephrase. The season went exactly as it should have. Who cares about tanking? This draft class is not deep. The previous few draft classes, outside the RJ Barrett and Zion and the Zion draft, they have not been deep. There isn't a bona fide star that you can get. There's no Shaq in this draft. There's no LeBron in this coming draft. There's no Carmelo. There's no Dwayne Wade. There's no Chris Bosh. There's no Yusuf Nurkic. There's going to be a lot of solid players and a lot of role players. But there's not a bona fide star in this draft. So just think about that. Because we're the 11th. We finished 11th in the Eastern Conference. We finished 11th. We were right there. We were right there. Right now, the Knicks are 12th in the tankathon. We still got to wait on how the play-in tournament plays out. But right now, if I'm the Knicks, the Lakers, we're better than the Lakers. We're better than LeBron James and the Lakers. Come on, guys. That's a win. We're better than LeBron James and the Lakers. And they were supposed to go to the finals. We're 4 games better than them. And it's just patience. Patience, Knicks fans. Don't fire Tom Thibodeau. Because just a year ago, the Knicks had a top 5 defensive efficiency, and everyone was praising how great of an impact Tom Thibodeau had on this team. Of course, Knicks fans, New York, awfully, they have very short-term memory. This year they want him gone? No. Leon Rose gone? No. Patience. Because this is not a team that is, unless we're going to build a team that's come straight out of NBA 2K and we're going to win a championship, that's going to be a load better than Brooklyn, a load better than Philly, a load better than Milwaukee, a load better than Miami. We're not winning a chip anytime soon. The point of this offseason, the next few years, is to compete and consistently have meaningful games in March and in April and possibly make the playoffs, not the play-in. Okay? Okay, Knicks fans, get that through your thick skulls. We are trying to make the playoffs. We're trying to be a 6 seed or higher. Look at Chicago. We all say, oh, well, we were just talking about how DeMar DeRozan really changed things up for the Bulls. Guess where they are? Are they a number 1 seed? No. Are they a number 2 seed? No. Are they a number 3 seed? No. Number 4? No. They're a 6 seed. They have a first-round matchup with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Chicago Bulls, who every Knicks fan was saying we should have made a move for DeMar DeRozan, they're the 6th seed. Think about that. Think about that. Toronto Raptors are a 5 seed. Philadelphia, who just made a trade at the deadline for James Harden, they only made it to the 4th seed. Boston Celtics. Remember, we beat them in double overtime? Bing bong, a double overtime? They're the 2 seed. Of course, Miami is the 1 seed. It's, think about it. Just think about that. The Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, who was hamstrung by Kyrie Irving not getting the vaccine, are the 7th seed. Cleveland Cavaliers, 8th seed. Patience, people. Have patience. So at the end of the day, the Nets have to play. If everything falls into place, Atlanta and Charlotte get eliminated. Brooklyn has to play the Celtics. Cleveland has to play the Heat. You do not want to be in the play-in. I repeat, you do not want to be in the play-in. That is not where you want to be. You do not want to be there. You want to be 6 or higher. But that's it for today's show. Thank you guys for listening so much. Sorry for the long pauses in between the episodes. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And make sure you follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and however you may be listening to our podcast. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good night.